Hey y'all, I'm trying to do this reaction video on Loom. I don't know if it's gonna go well. Hopefully it does. I use Loom all the time for my clients, so I'm hoping it works well here. Not sponsored by Loom. I wish it was. I love that company. Anyway, so this is Lori Daybell's sentencing statement at her sentencing, which happened a couple of days ago. So let's watch and see what she has to say.
Mr. Thomas. All right, Ms. Vallow, before I impose sentence, if you choose, you may address the court. This is known as the right of allocution, which permits you to make a statement on your own behalf or present any information in mitigation of the punishment for the crimes you've committed. And let me inquire at this time, do you wish to address this court? All right, very well, you may make your statement.
I'd like to start by quoting John from the New Testament in the Bible. In John chapter 8, verse 7, Jesus says, "He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her." Then in verse 15, Jesus says, "Ye judge after the flesh, I judge no man. And yet if I judge, my judgment is true."
Okay, so right off the bat, I watched this previously a couple of times and I took some notes. And I feel like this statement should be titled Me, 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 Jesus God, Me, 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 a Lori Daybell sentencing statement. This is no surprise, but what Greg Hartley calls holy ground, right? When people invoke God, Jesus, a higher power, whatever that is. So this is no surprise that she's using this, right? This is her whole shtick. And it remains to be seen whether she truly believes these delusions that she has about, all the zombie mythology that Chad came up with, or if she has just stuck consistently to this story for this many years, so that she could possibly use it as some sort of insanity defense, which didn't really go that way, or show that she's been brainwashed or mitigate her sentencing somehow. But you tell me, what do y'all think? Do you really think that Lori believes all of these crazy delusions, or do you think she's just been propping it up for this long for her own benefit? And then, from a body language perspective, in the beginning, she's very small, right? She's crouched down. And even here, when she puts her glasses on and she scoots forward, and we saw this same behavior. I'm going to have to go back and review this case from the beginning. It's not super fresh in my mind, but if y'all want a full case breakdown at some point, let me know. I can still remember the behavior panel breaking it down, her when she was being interrogated in that room. That was so interesting, where it was kind of like decorated and she was in an armchair and stuff. And I also remember a little bit of Annie Elise's series on it, which was amazing. And it was like Annie Elise's first videos ever on YouTube, and she came out looking like the pro that she is already. So anyway, sorry, back to this. So in that interrogation video, Lori made herself very small, and she had this like kind of little girl voice, and you can feel the insincerity of it, the like put on ness of it. And right off the bat, that's what I see. It's like little girl, small, holy ground. And to use another Greg Hartley thing, the organism does what made the organism successful. Well, I can't see a better example of that than here. And I don't know. Again, I would have to do some digging into Lori Daybell's upbringing with her parents and everything. But if I had to bet, I would say that this type of behavior, little girl, holier than thou type of holy ground behavior, was rewarded, because that's the foot that she leads with. Okay.
Jesus knows me, and Jesus understands me. I mourn with all of you who mourn, my children and Tammy. Jesus Christ.
Okay. I think this was one of my top 3 in her statement that just sent me. Anyway, this is why it should be called me, 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 me. I mourn. He understands me. And again, that narcissistic grandiosity of, who are you all to judge me? Jesus, the creator of worlds, the Son of God, knows me personally and approves of me. It's just, ugh. And then, you know how, if you're familiar with the behavior panel, I forget who it is, but they talk about real emotion kind of sustains, right? And the reason that I played it a little bit longer there is at the end, I don't particularly hear any emotion still in her throat. And you'll get choked up, right? And have to fight through that. But for me, the way I experience it, you tell me if it's the same for you, if it's different. It feels like it kind of falls off a cliff. It's like I'm choked up, and now my voice is kind of normal.
Knows the truth of what happened here. Jesus Christ knows that no one was murdered in this case. Accidental.
Interesting, you notice the judge writing stuff down and the look on his face. What I read from that, it looks like pure disapproval, and I don't have a real way to justify this, but it feels like disgust and like this wall of disapproval and containing himself, using the notes and the activity of writing it down to somewhat contain himself. But you tell me if you see that.
Deaths happen. Suicides happen. Fatal side effects from medications happen. I have a different perspective in life because
Okay. This is, again, top 3. I can't believe this in this statement. The body count around Lori Daybell is confounding. Let's try to go in order. Her ex-husband was the first, and then I believe it was Tylee, and then her ex-husband, then Tammy Daybell, then Tylee, then JJ, then Lori's brother and partner in crime. That's 5 that I'm counting. 5. And she's trying to say, I mean, sorry, I'm laughing because of the stupidity. The reality itself is horrific, and she fully deserves the sentence that she's about to get. But accidents, medication overdoses, I forget what else it is she referenced, but again, I have to go back to the organism does what made the organism successful. And did her parents entertain such fancy tales? Did they allow her to get away with elaborate lies? I feel like I can say this about myself, and I feel like most of you would agree. There is no planet on which the people that are close to me would even begin to believe something like this for a body count of 5 people. And yes, accidents do happen. Yes, medication overdoses do happen. And what is so sus about this is it's like implanting, it's still a vanishing perpetrator, right? Because there's no person attributed to these crimes. It's just fate, and these people are being dealt a horrible hand. But implanting into her sentencing statement reasons for why all these people passed is so red flag, red flag.
2002, when I was pregnant with Tylee, I died in the hospital while in labor with her. They tried to stop my labor. They put me on the table and they put something in my IV, and I felt my spirit falling to the floor.
Okay, so near-death experiences happen. They have been studied. I find them very fascinating. I want to cover some of them on my channel and ultimately have people on to talk about their experiences. I hate that she's using, and let's say she had one, a near-death experience. She's using that, again, claiming holy ground. I know something that you don't know. And this fits into the whole pathology of her personality, not professional advice or diagnosis or whatever, just my armchair opinion, which is funny because I'm like literally sitting in an armchair. But she's using the near-death experience as holy ground to be able to say that I know something that you don't know, and unpack the subtext in that. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but essentially, I know something that you don't know that was divine knowledge given especially to me that makes anything that I did with my kids and Tammy Daybell a-okay by God. How diabolical is that? Like, there's no other word. It's diabolical. And look at the judge's face here. He's, again, I'm not studied enough in body language yet to be very eloquent about this. I look forward to getting there eventually. But to me, it looks like fed upness, just at his wit's end with her. And, button up and restrained and not saying anything because he's acting appropriately, and he knows he acts with propriety and social decorum and things appropriate to courtroom behavior, right? But he's like our reliable narrator here, and his micro expressions are a beautiful mirror of, I feel like, what 99.9% of people feel when they listen to and look at Lori. And my big question is, what happened in her life that rewarded this behavior enough that made her think that it would be effective in such extenuating circumstances? And maybe it's a Hail Mary pass, pardon the pun, where, it's all she's got left and she's going to play her one card, the one thing she knows how to do. But there's an instinct in me that says that she was as bold as she was with all of these homicides. Well, at least right now we can say 3 of them for sure. And I am so adamant about wanting justice for Charles, I believe, her husband, who was murdered. I think she really, truly thought she could get away with it, and I think it was based on her history and what she's gotten away with in her life.
I was standing near my pregnant body, watching the doctors try to revive me, which took them a few minutes. In that time, my sister Stacy was standing to my left, I turned to hug her and was surprised that her spirit was as tangible as a physical body, because I knew I was in spirit and she was in spirit. She said she needed to show me some things, and we went to heaven. I later returned to my body. Because of this experience, I have access to heaven and the spirit world. Since then,
Ooh, you see him writing? I feel like my suspicion, my completely unprofessional opinion, is that every time he cannot stand her BS, he writes it down, or most likely writing it down to remark on specifically later. Because if you dropped someone into this scenario and they had no idea what was going on, and they didn't even know what the case was, that they're in a courtroom, you would think it's story time with Lori. You would think, oh, this lady is regaling this room full of people with a story right now about a mystical experience that she had, and she's so interesting and everyone's listening to her. All that to say, what the hell does this have to do with you being found guilty of murdering your own children and the wife of the deceased wife, or whatever, of your now husband? Are they still together? Did they ever get officially married? This is what I'm saying. Like, I have to really do a deep dive on this case, but this is me commenting right now to the best of my knowledge. It's the me show.
I have had many communications from people now living in heaven, including my children, Tylee Ashlyn and Joshua Jackson. My sister.
Her use of pronouns is so telling. The way that she emphasizes my children. And let's unpack that for a second, just theoretically speaking. My children versus my children. To me, there's some anger and possessiveness in emphasizing my so harshly. The focus obviously goes back to her, the me show. And in this weird, I hate to kick an ant pile here, but in this weird way, almost the way that John and Patsy had their book to tell their story. And, the elephant in the room there is like, yeah, but your daughter was murdered. Like, and here with Lori, it's like, your children were murdered, my dear, by your own hand or order. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Sisters, Stacy and Lolly, my aunts and my uncles and my grandparents. I have had many communications with Jesus Christ, the Savior of this world, and our heavenly parents. I've had many angelic visitors have come and communicated with me and even manifested themselves to me. Because of these communications, I know for a fact that my children are happy and busy in the spirit world.
Okay, so to me, this reads a lot like what Greg Hartley calls a resume statement. She is saying, my ancestors, my aunt, my this, my that, angels, legions of angels. She didn't say that, but it's this list. And what is the purpose of this list? I think the purpose of it is to get us to feel awe and be impressed by all these people on the other side that are rooting for her, that are having intimate conversations with her, approving of her actions. And then if that isn't enough, to say the creator of the world, I forget the specific language she used about Jesus, the savior of our world, is coming to Lori Daybell in her jail cell. I'm assuming she's been there for quite some time, and speaking with her directly and saying, paraphrasing here, I approve of you, my daughter, everything you've done. You were chosen to have this mystical experience when you were delivering your daughter, and now till the end of time, you're gifted with these abilities to see things that most people cannot see. And because these people in the courtroom cannot see the things that you can see, you're being persecuted because they don't understand what you did. And this martyrdom thing that's happening, right? I don't think it's a mistake that she started off with the story of throwing the stones. Let the one among you without sin cast the first stone. It was a prostitute in that story, right? That Jesus was protecting, I think. Yeah, and then Jesus's utterance on the cross of, Lord, forgive them, they know not what they do. All of this, to me, is her painting herself as the martyr, as the victim, as the mystic, as the confidant of God, him or herself.
Because of my communications with my friend Tammy Daybell, I know that she is also very happy and extremely busy. I have always mourned the...
Yeah, that is just wacky. Okay, her voice, again, she puts in this kind of vibrato here and there, and then nothing comes of it. It doesn't stop her. It doesn't choke her up. It doesn't continue. It's just randomly placed. I'm sure it's not random if we went back and really looked at it. But this weird vibrato that comes in and out, and to me doesn't feel on a gut level true in the slightest. Again, the emphasis on my friend, my Lord. There is so much, to me, rage in that. There is so much toddler tantrum, me, my possessiveness in that. Sorry, don't mean to yell. I just feel very passionate about that. And yeah, I forgot the other thing I was going to say. Hopefully it comes back to me.
The loss of my loved ones, and I have lost many.
Right. Did I say how wacky it is that she talks about Tammy being busy? I'm fascinated to know what she meant by that. Not, I mean, yeah, what she meant literally, but what was the intent behind that? Like, don't worry, she's staying very busy and active and living like a very productive life up there in heaven. What does it mean?
In this mortal world. However, I know them more than most people. I know where they are now and what they're doing. I know how wonderful heaven is, and I'm homesick for it
Okay. I know more than most people. She puts it plainly there. Her positioning of herself above other people. That holier than thou, I have sacred knowledge that you don't have. And, okay, the way she hit the T in mortal, to me just gave me flashbacks of, this is going way back, but y'all remember when Madonna had a British accent for a minute way back in the day? Yeah, hitting that T in that way just felt like some weird put on accent thing to seem interesting or superior. It's strange.
every single day. I know we all lived in heaven before we were born on earth, and we were all adult spirits in the heavenly realm.
Ooh, this is something I didn't catch the first time. Sorry, this video is going to end up being very long. I'm trying to move as quickly as I can. What a cope. We are all adult spirits. Dude, this is chilling to me. So, the mother in her that knows what she did and knows how perverse it is for a mother to take her own child's life, right? Like nature, perversion, awful, right? The exact opposite of what a mother is supposed to do. So stating that her children are fully grown is skirting around the reality that she cut their lives short on this plane. And it's a cope around that. And again, evading any responsibility. And this is where it makes me think that it's almost irrelevant whether or not she believes in this stuff fully. I think that some people, probably most people, make constructs about their self-identity. And in order to function, they have to believe in that construct. And Lori's construct seems to have been for a long time that she's special, she's singular and chosen, that she's got a divine relationship with God, Jesus, unlike most people, and that she's immune from needing to behave by the rules and laws of mortals because she's special and chosen. And when she talks about that she didn't want to come back after her near-death experience, that's a very common experience. And I would say you are not special in experiencing that. That actually, it seems to be the majority. It's the rule and not the exception that people are reluctant to come back, because so many people, not everyone, but so many report feelings of bliss, of there being no pain, no suffering, being able to reunite with loved ones that have passed, that they haven't been with for a long time, and any strife that they were experiencing here in 3D, they're totally alleviated of that physical, mental, emotional pain. So a lot of people report being quite reluctant to come back. And yeah, so not special there, Lori.
We chose to come to earth as mortals. Heaven is more wonderful than you can possibly imagine. I do not fear death, but I look forward to it. I did not want to return to my body when I was out of it. Even though my son Colby, who I adored more than anything, was only 6 years old at the time, and I was about to give birth to this new baby girl that I wanted so badly.
You hear that sniff there? That feels like a feel sorry for me sniff.
I was a young mother, and you would think I wouldn't want to leave my children, but as I stood in heaven, I did not want to go back. I thought they would be fine without me, because I was peaceful and I was happy and I was home. But then I was told by Jesus that I needed to go back and complete things that I had covenanted or promised to do before I was born.
Did you see that exhale and the judge looking down? It feels like tick tock, this is taking way too long. Lori, like, let's go.
This caused me a lot of distress because I knew heaven was my real home, and I only wanted to be there. I was free from pain, emotional and physical. But then I was shown how I would help my children and others in the future. So ultimately, I did agree to go back to my body.
So this parable, from her perspective, is being told to educate the wider public through her eyes of what she didn't know and what she wasn't aware of and what she had to learn. I feel like her message is, this is what you should know. This is what you should learn. This is where you are mistaken. The arrogance.
Kylie has visited me. She is happy and very busy. Kylie is free now from all the pains of her life. Kylie suffered.
I feel like he's like, life sentence with with no parole check. Yeah. So wrap it up, everybody. Let's go home. This whole thing's off. Tylee's happy. She told Lori she was happy. Let's just go home, call it a day, watch some Netflix, put this all behind us.
Horrible physical pain her whole life. I sat with Tylee in the hospital year after year after year while she screamed in pain when the morphine wasn't even enough to take away the pain of her pancreatitis. I sat there while she cried and I held back her hair while she threw up. And I am the only person on this earth who knows how much Tylee suffered in her life. She had pain every single day. She never felt good. Her body did not.
Again, there's that rise of emotion that fairly quickly settles and goes away and doesn't come back. Again, I think this is actually subconsciously revealing in a subconscious way. We know based on the texts, again, not super fresh in my mind, but and emails, that there was a rating system, right? That Lori, at least in an overt way, put the power of deciding whether a person lives or dies in Chad's hands. Chad. So when she is, to me here, it feels like she's trying to say, if she could put it very directly, y'all, Tylee was in a lot of pain and suffering anyway, and she's not suffering now, so don't get mad at me for unaliving her. It's totally fine. You have no idea how much she suffered. I do. I know. But on a subconscious level, I feel like that was her cope when it was actually happening. Because how horrific and perverse to order or coax out of your husband the order for execution on your daughter and son. Awful, right? And if it had to do with her pain in any way, in a real way, and not in a aftermath coping way, there would have been some kind of communication about that with Chad in the whole zombie rating system. It would have been, and tell me if you saw this. I don't recall seeing any of this at all, but Tylee's been in a lot of pain. What is her scale? What is her rating? You know, do you think she should go be with our Father in heaven? There was nothing of that. It was about her children being zombies or whatever. Sorry, I'm forgetting the exact terminology, and needing to be eliminated. There's nothing merciful in that. That's bloodlust.
Not work right. And I don't know if that was from complications from me dying while she was being born or something else, but she had a very difficult life.
But here's the thing. Her life was her life to live. And she did not make the decision to unalive herself. You did.
She was sexually abused by her own biological father since she was 3 years old. And she was forced by family court to go visit him for 10 years against her will.
Yeah, so this just, to me, further reiterates, I mean, SA happens even with really good parents around who are very in tune with that. But to me, this is just adding up more in the pile of Lori's a bad mom.
I fought for her in court. I protected her. I tried to protect her with my whole life. I tried to protect her. I worried about her every single day. Tylee had to get her GED because she couldn't go to school every day because she never felt good. She felt sick.
You worried about her, Lori? Oh my goodness. You know what? Wrap it up, guys. Like, again, it's so incomprehensible to me, and I'm sure you too. It's like, and look at the judge's face. It's like He's disassociating. He looks like it anyway. And look, I don't for a second doubt that the gist of what she's saying about Tylee's life is true, but using that as justification for murdering her daughter, incomprehensible. And I want to also say, I forget what it's called, that syndrome, with Gypsy Rose Blanchard, where her mom made her basically disabled her daughter to keep her closer. That's the vibe I get with Lori and Tylee. I don't get the vibe that Tylee was like, I don't want to go to school, take me out of school and interrupt my whole life and unannounced bring us to Hawaii. I think that's the move that they made. Or first they went to a national park, whatever it was. And maybe there was some of, you're a teenager, and if your mom's like, hey, do you never want to have to go to school again? You're like, yeah. But to me, it's so much more the vibe of, I'm the narcissist, I'm running the show, I've decided that I have some weird divine mission, and now your life has been interrupted and altered forever for it, and you've got no say. To me, that seems more likely the scenario, and not Tylee saying, hey, Mom, can you uproot my life? Because I'm miserable.
Nobody knows this because Tylee, like myself, tries to put on a good front, tries to be a happy person, tries to have hope in life, tries to know that she's here for a purpose and that she has an eternal purpose to be on this earth. But I never stopped worrying about her. One of the times that Tylee came to me as a spirit after she died, she commanded me, and she said to me, stop worrying, Mom. We are fine. She knows how I worry and how I...
Honestly, who gives a about how you worry, dude? How you worry, that is emotional turmoil to you. Everybody worries. Everybody worries, and you should worry. Oh, what are you talking about?
I miss her. The first time JJ visited me after he passed away, he put his arm around me and he said to me, you didn't do anything wrong, Mom. I love you, and I know you loved me every minute of my life.
Again, it's interesting the moments that she chooses to get faux emotional. It's when her son is forgiving her, big air quotes, for murdering him, and being very concerned that she not fret over it, because God, we can't have that. And it feels like in these particularly egregious moments is when the judge starts writing. And y'all, I hope I'm not, I know I'm making jokes. I hope I'm not portraying this in a comical way. I'm making fun of her pathology, and I'm making fun of her arrogance, but obviously the tragedy of this case is unlike any other, which is why it got the national attention that it got. It's unfathomable is the only word I can really come up with.
JJ, Joshua Jackson, was an adult spirit, and he was very, very tall when he put his arm around me.
She's the protected young girl being consoled by the son that she murdered after willfully choosing to adopt him and take care of him as a special needs child when his grandparents were begging for him back. And he's come to her to comfort sweet little Saint Lori.
He is busy, he is engaged, he has jobs that he does there, and he is happy where he is. His life was short, but JJ's life was meaningful. JJ was a wonderful person and touched the lives of everyone, and I adored him every minute of his life. My eternal friend, Tammy Daybell, has visited.
This is so weird because she's trying to come off as if she's giving a victim impact statement. It feels like his life was short, but XYZ, cope.
Visited me on
Oh, and Tammy, her dear friend Tammy, dude, how could you?
several occasions. She came to bring me peace and comfort, and I know that she is extremely busy helping her family, especially her children and grandchildren. And I have a great
I don't know what the deal is with the busy thing with her. It seems to be very important that these people that she had a hand in murdering are very busy people now with very full lives and not 6 feet under. Ugh. There was something else I was going to say, and I forgot. Oh, just the constant refrain of these people that she had a hand in murdering coming back to reassure her. Y'all, it's just beyond.
love for Tammy. My beautiful children, Tylee Ashlyn and Joshua Jackson, rest safely this day in the arms of Jesus. My wonderful friend, Tammy Daybell, rests safely this day in the arms of Jesus. And I look forward to the day when we are all reunited and I too will rest with them in the arms of my Jesus.
All right, Ms. Vallow, thank you for your comments to the.
Yeah, that frown that we caught the judge in before he started talking felt very like restrained, holding words back type of an expression. And yeah, she just effectively used however many minutes that was of her statement to prolong her delusional narrative that she's chosen and protected and approved of from very, the VIP on the other side. And that we're mistaken in thinking that there were any victims in this case whatsoever. Tammy, Tylee, and JJ are doing just fine, and they're super busy, which is really important for some reason. And that she can't wait to see them again because they're all super tight. All right. Sorry if this was so long. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see y'all next time.